So, this is DaviD TaL. This is the Balagan Connection. And this is going to be an update about what's going on. And the format that we're going to use on these updates is one that I like using in different places. And it's the past, present, and future format. So, we'll talk about what has happened in the past and the events that led up to where we are right now. We'll talk about what's going on both in Israel and around Israel. And we'll talk about the future and how that's going to kind of play out in a couple of ways. Let's start off with the past. More and more reporting and more information is coming about the actual attack and about the use of sexual terror as part of the war that Hamas actually instigated against Israel. It's horrific. And even non-supporters of Israel, even haters of Israel, are realizing how terrible that sexual assault was. And it's much more than assault on a person. This is concentrated sexual use as a weapon. And I think the world is starting to hear this. And what we don't understand is why isn't anybody talking about it? Why aren't the feminist organizations yelling out? Why aren't the whole human rights organizations yelling out about the use of rape and mutilation as a military tool? And it makes the impact of the carnage, it makes the impact of the attack double. I mean, not only were they attacked, but the world is quiet about it, and even to a certain extent, there's a feeling that they're accepting it and saying, oh yeah, well, but you did this, you did that. And there's a growing divide between Israelis and the way that we kind of see the world. And again, I'm talking about the ones that are not supporting Israel because I know I'm talking to the people that are right here. But the way that we see the world that are saying, okay, I mean, so they were raped, or okay, so there's hostages, okay, this is a situation, and not outrage that you would have heard if this was something that happened on a border town in southern Arizona. And that is kind of really kind of breaking us apart. The argument that's going on right now inside Israeli society about how we should deal with the hostage, because we need to finish off Hamas. We need to make sure that this is never going to happen again. But the hostages are still in there. So the families of the hostages are saying, stop everything, quit everything, negotiate, give them whatever they want, pay whatever they want, and give us our children, our fathers, our women back. Which I can totally understand. I mean, if it was my son in there, I would understand. On the other hand, Israel as a nation is saying we have to finish off Hamas, otherwise this is going to happen again a year from now, 2 years from now. And that is a very deep, very complex, very harsh discussion that is happening inside Israeli society right now. But I am proud to say that as deep, as painful, as critical as this is being done in a relatively peaceful manner. And I'm just, sharing a little bit about what's happened in the past and how that impacts us today. Today, the war in Gaza is still going on. Israel is starting to actually pull out forces from the northern part of Gaza and concentrating its military operations on the southern part of Gaza, mainly in Khan Yunis, which is where we believe that the head of the Hamas organization is sitting. But there's a growing understanding that this is going to take longer and it's going to be a deeper extraction than we thought. We are losing soldiers day by day, and that is something that is kind of, I mean, it is. The war's kind of hit the back burner in the rest of the world, but in Israel, every day we see young sons and young men that have died in this battle. Some of them not so young. Some of them actually reservists. In the meantime, the war is kind of picking up in the northern part, and the Hezbollah, which is the Iranian proxy in the north, has been pinpricking Israel for a long time, and it's gone up a little bit. The heat is turned up a little bit more after Israel took out a Hamas representative, but was sitting inside downtown Beirut, and the coming on battle is kind of we're on the edge of a match lighting the powder keg. There is firing across both sides, and we're saying that the northern front is quiet. It's not quiet. They're firing anti-tank rockets into houses in the north. They're firing missiles into community centers. They're firing at military installations. And what I'm trying to say is it's a shooting war, and if people were shooting across the border from Mexico into the United States the way the Hamas, Hezbollah is shooting at us, Israel, the United States would have declared war on Mexico a long time ago. And there's a growing understanding that Israel is going to have to take care of the threat in Hezbollah. We're saying if the world gets together and pushes the Hezbollah north and we don't have them on our border, and we do this in an agreement, that would be great. But if it's not going to be done in agreement, we are going to have to do it ourselves. And that's something to look forward to, how this kind of plays out. The United States doesn't want a shooting war between Israel and Hezbollah. And Blinken is here right now trying to negotiate and turn down the fire and kind of hold back Israel to a certain extent. The Hamas has been using Syria, okay, as a base to fire at Israel. And the Hamas has been trying to turn up the fire in the north. And just to make it more complex, the Houthis in the Yemen have not given up on trying to fight Israel, though they've kind of turned down their rhetoric. And what I'm trying to say is this. Iran is the main instigator behind all of this. It's pulling all these little strings. But Iran saw what happened with Hamas. And Iran is being very, very careful to prick, to hurt, to kill just 5 American soldiers in Iraq, to kill just a couple of Israelis here, to attack a couple here, to close the straits to the Red Sea, but not completely. They're being very, very careful to push, but not to all out commit to battle against Israel and the West. And I think this is something that we have to notice and kind of take consideration, because what the enemy is doing is, okay, I understand you're stronger than me, so I'm not going to come and attack you. I'm just going to cut off a finger here. I'm just going to pinprick you here. And that's the way the war is being fought. And because the world is silent to what's going on, come on, they've closed down shipping in one of the main shipping routes in the world. Anywhere else in the world, this would have been a declaration of war, and the United States of America has a fleet in the area, and it's not declaring war. I mean, they're kind of pushing up, they're checking how much they can see and getting away with it. Which brings us to what's going to happen soon. We're this close to an all-out regional war that might turn into an all-out conflict in the whole world. And so far it's not happening. And there's a lot of questions. I mean, if it was going to happen, it should have happened. I mean, if this is China pulling the strings of Iran, that's pulling the strings of Hezbollah, that's pulling the strings of Hamas, I mean, then it should have happened. The fact that it's not happening means that there's something holding back. We haven't heard anything from the Russians lately. We haven't heard anything from the Chinese. And there's this sense that we're teetering on the edge of this cliff, but we haven't gone over. And that's why I need you, because this is the time to pray. This is the time to pray that God will run this show and move this way. And again, we know that God does. But that this will happen in a way that is in line with God's plan. That all of the players will move in the direction that God is moving us. But again, this is an all-out war. This is a biblical scale event. This is probably, or might be even, a revelation type event here. But what I need you to remember is we're in the middle. My people are still dying in Gaza. My women have been raped and the world is silent. I'm still in a terrible war zone that hasn't finished. Half of, no, well, not half, but let's say a fifth of the country has been moved out of its houses and living in temporary housing because we can't move them back into the houses because of the threats on the northern border and the southern border. We're still in the middle of this, and we need your prayer, we need your support, we need your love right now more than anything else. So this has been an update about what's going on. You can see a connection to the Balagan connection down at the bottom of this video in the comments. If you want to support in a more direct manner, there's a link to Gijon Springs underneath here. You can go on there and support directly. Gijon Springs supports different ministries, different Christian ministries in Israel, including the Balagan Connection. You can go on and support us directly because I'm kind of out of work right now. But basically, what we need more is your spiritual and your Christian love directed at Israelis and Jews all over the world. A very interesting kind of note bit that I've been kind of reeling. I'm back in the States now for a while until we kind of find out what's going on. And one of the things that I feel very deeply lately is how Jewish I actually am. For most of my life, I've lived in Israel and I was Israeli. Now, you're a Jew by definition and by nationality, but I was an Israeli. But living here and seeing what's going on here and hearing how things are relating to what's going on in Israel, I'm reminded that I'm a Jew. Just like all of my people down through the years who have been lied about, persecuted, and downright murdered. I mean, I know what that feels like today. And I want to share that with you and reach out to your Jewish friends, reach out to your Israeli friends, and show them Christian love. We need that more than anything right now. So this is DaviD TaL. This is the Balagan Connection. Thank you for being here.